Hey, everybody. You know, urgency is a critical factor when it comes to selling. And without it, chances are the person's going to drag their feet and not commit to the action you are or they are looking to take. And that's a real problem, especially if we make our money doing what we do. So the problem is most professionals are taught to create urgency during a sales situation in a way that actually leads to resistance and objections. And of course, that's the very thing that they're trying to avoid in the first place. So when you understand the one simple communication shift that we'll be sharing with you today, you'll see how much easier it is to gain compliance from others. Hey, this is Kenrick Cleveland, and I'm with Dr. Joseph Riggio.
Hey, Kenrick.
Hey, and what we're going to be talking about with you today goes against everything you probably have ever heard or learned about closing a sale. Because the traditional sales methods, and that's basically everything being taught today, is based off of problems and the pain framework. It's focused around using that pain or that problem to create urgency to make people buy. Joseph, why don't you elaborate on that a bit?
Well, what we're looking at here is fundamentally a structure that when you're looking at pain taps into a deep part of the brain, right? Without going into a whole lot of neuroscience or anything, it's just there's a part of the brain which goes, oh my God, stop, you're trying to hurt me, or I feel threatened in some way. And you begin to build what just you said was resistance. And we need to do it a different way if we don't want to trigger those responses in people. If we don't want to trigger fundamentally what becomes fear in someone. And because you have fear, you have resistance. When you have resistance, you have avoidance. When you have avoidance, you have rejection. And the salesperson is actually creating the rejection they now have to deal with that we call objections. Well, they generated those objections. So what we want to do is we want to create greater urgency. And the way we can create greater urgency, which means to really get somebody to the point where they go, yeah, I really want to do this. Let's move forward together, is by tapping into that part of the brain that makes people want to do something. Now, sure, you have urgency when there's fear and the person wants to get the heck away. And if you overwhelm them with enough fear, maybe they do whatever they need to get out of the situation, which may mean in some cases buying. However, why not get them to buy because they really like you and want to deal with you? And how you focus on opportunity is the way you get there. You need to bring them to the point where they go, wow, this is something I really want. This is not something I want to avoid. This is something I really want to have for myself or my family or whatever, my business, whatever the case is. And it triggers a whole different part of the brain, which opens them up to seeing the future turning out the way they want it to turn out, as opposed to the future turning out like the apocalypse, where they have to do everything they can to get in the bunker and avoid it. So it's really what the salesperson is doing that creates resistance and objections and fear, or opens people up to possibility.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And if we take it right down to values, okay, because this is what a lot of people are trained to do. A lot of people have trained with me and with you, and they've learned how to elicit values. And so it could sound like this, all right? So, why are we here? And the person says, well, Kenrick, I want to make more money. Okay, great. Tell me about that. What's important about that to you? Well, sales are really hard right now. They're really, really hard. If I were to continue in the traditional way, I might go, yeah, they really are. Yeah, it's a difficult time right now. So what's important to you about that? Well, that it just stopped. That I just that I figure out how to get around this. I got to figure out how to around this. I got to figure out how to get around this. Okay, and ultimately, what'll that do for you? It's going to keep me from going under. Now, let's stop that example for a second. This is typical. This often happens. You know that what I'm saying, you can relate to it. What most salespeople do is jump for joy when they hear that, because they think, ooh, I got a problem. They're going to be motivated to fix it, but not so fast. You're digging into the problem. You're causing them to feel negative. You're causing them to feel bad. They're being overwhelmed. They're not able to really get excited about much. Even if you can get them kind of feeling excited later, this lingers, and it also is attached to you. Let's do it the other way. The person says, here's the real strategy. Person says, you start off, why are we here today? Well, I want to earn more money. Okay, tell me about that. What's important about that? Well, because it's really hard today. Okay, I understand that. So what is it you want? Well, I want to get good at being able to get people to take action even when they've got issues. Makes a lot of sense to me. I like that. And ultimately, what will that do for you? Well, we're going to make it so I don't go under. Right. And if you didn't go under, if you were getting exactly what you wanted, what would happen? Ooh, I'd be getting people to buy. I'd be getting people to feel good. I'd be getting people to, to move forward with me easily. All right. And if you could get people to move forward with you easily, then that would be time well spent with me, wouldn't it? Oh, yeah. See? That's the kind of thing. Go ahead, Joseph.
Totally different. That's what I was going to say.
Well, how does it relate to persuasion? How does it relate to suggestion from your point of view of that?
Well, I think what you're saying is you've just created a very powerful way to make suggestions to people. You took them from where they were, which was they're about to go under in their mind, right? To all of a sudden, I have the ability to make people feel good, to buy from me, to get outcomes with people. And there's no thought anymore of going under. Now the thought is, how's my business going to grow? How am I going to spend this money I'm going to make with these people? Because now I'm successful again, right? So it was a total switch to a completely different point of view. And you did it very subtly by creating a suggestion of possibility, starting with where they were. You didn't go, well, that's all wrong. You went, I get that. And if in fact the other thing happened, what would it be like? And that was just such a nice, subtle transition over. And really tapped into their values, because you basically re-asked them the question, what's important to you, without saying those words, and it was because they make people feel good and be making sales. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic.
I can recall a time, I've done this for so many years, and when I used to use it in the negative sense, letting people go with that away from thing. And I talked with a gentleman, and he was a financial advisor, really wonderful man. And I let him go up that negative chain. And at the end, he said to me something very similar to what I've just demonstrated. He said, I just don't want to fail. And back then, because I did it the old way, I said to him, what would happen if you did fail? Backing the ambulance right up into the door there, right? And he broke into tears. And he said, I'd let my family down. I'd let my wife down. And it almost made me break into tears. And he said, I can't do that. Kenrick, I can't do that. You gotta show me how not to do that. Well, he did become a client. And he also stayed with me as I went through a transition and became more capable of going to the positive. One day he said to me, Kenrick, the way we do it now is so much more powerful. And I feel so much better about it. In the beginning, had you done this, I don't think I would have been so sad. I think I would have seen how to do it better. It just reinforced for me the power of what happens when we do this right. So we've talked a little bit today about the fact that we use values so that we can create urgency. But if we do them the wrong way, we create more problems and more resistance for ourselves than if we do it the right way. The right way is to make a simple switch to the positive. So if you found this power language tip useful and are interested in the latest advancements in selling technology, all based on the neuroscience of how people process information and make decisions, then you're going to be interested on our on-demand training called Power Language: Breaking and Bending Realities. Head over to maxpersuasion.com/reality to check it out. And we'll also put the link below in the comments. This is great, Joseph. Thanks for going back and forth with me on this.
Really enjoyed it. Thank you, Kenrick.